Hey guys, I wanted to thank all of you who have been sending me questions recently because I'm wanting to do a question and answers video hopefully in the next couple of days. So if any of you want to chime in and give me some more questions, that would be awesome so that I'll have a nice little list to work through while doing the video. So for today, the video I wanted to do is actually extremely important to me, and I think it might be helpful to a lot of my subscribers and to people who might happen to stumble upon this video. And it's how therapy has actually helped me in my life and why it was actually able to help me. Because some of you have been writing to me, telling me your stories, really meaningful stuff, and I am not a professional. My biggest advice for anyone who is struggling through depression or through any other illness or disorder, social anxiety, is to really try and see a therapist. My friend believes that you should at least go to therapy one time in your life and try it out. Everybody in the world should give it a shot, and I firmly agree with that. So I would recommend to anyone who is questioning therapy, who is on the brink, that they should probably go ahead and try it. But I will tell you guys how I got to that point, why it worked for me, and just my own little story on it. So the first thing I wanted to say is that one reason why it actually helped me is because I was ready. You cannot push somebody to go to therapy. I think that the only instance when somebody really is in immediate need of therapy is if they're having very strong suicidal thoughts, actions, urges. At that point, you really have got to get the ball moving on that, and you have to get them to go and see a therapist or to get help immediately. That's when it's crucial. But if you're just struggling through life a little bit with depressive symptoms, things like that, you have to get to that point yourself where you realize that you're ready. Because for myself, I was in a very, very drawn out phase of denial. So I think it was very beneficial that I lived out that phase of denial, because if I hadn't, I don't think the therapy would have helped me if I had forced myself to go. Because actually my mom had asked me, do you want to go to see a therapist? This is going back a few years ago. And I was just like, I'm not interested. And finally, after time had passed, I said, you know what? I'm ready for this. So I had to live out that phase of denial before I realized that it's something that I really, really needed. Because at the time, I had all these fake coping mechanisms. I didn't even know what coping mechanisms were. I thought that therapy was for crazy people. I was in denial. I didn't want to do it. And I was just drinking all the time, trying to forget my problems. And of course, as you know, drinking and depression do not go very well together. It was bringing me into a worse spiral, but I didn't even realize. So finally, one day I woke up and I said, it's time to get help. I don't want to feel like this. It's that moment when you go, do I really want to live my life like this? Do I want to keep going down this path? And when I realized that it was bringing me nowhere, then I decided it's time to actually go to therapy. And so what helped me in therapy is the fact that I was very open and very honest with my psychologist. If you're going to do it, you have to do it. You have to put yourself out there. At first, you ease into it, you get to know the person, but when you're ready, you really have to reveal everything, because if you don't tell the person your issues, your problems, if you're too embarrassed, then you're never going to resolve anything. You've got to push yourself to do that. So that's what I did. I really pushed myself to be open and honest with my psychologist. That helped me a lot. And also to be prepared for every single session, because I would write down a whole list of all my activities for the week, all my thought patterns, my lowest moments, my best moments, and I would share that with my psychologist. So instead of going in there and not recalling what happened that week, I was prepared for it. I took it very, very seriously, and I went in there with everything that went wrong that week, all the things that I was extremely proud of, and so that we had material to talk about and to work on during my sessions. And also, it's very important to click with your psychologist. There's nothing wrong with meeting with someone and then feeling nothing. Give it a couple of sessions. But if you feel nothing, it's time to change psychologists. It doesn't always mean that therapy is not right for you. It just might mean that this person is not right for you. If you can't relate to them in any way, if you feel guarded the whole time, you don't feel comfortable. Some people you meet, you're just not going to have that level of comfort where you can open up to the person. So you really need to explore your options, keep your mind open, and explore different people to be able to click with someone. I had tried one person previous to my psychologist, actually through school, and that person and I did not click at all. And so I actually ended up switching over to another one. And the one through my school was free, is the funny part. And then the psychologist I was seeing for a year, it was $80 a session, which isn't that bad. Some psychologists charge a lot more. And honestly, paying that money almost made me feel like I had to put in the effort. To me, it was an incentive to actually really work towards it. And I was very grateful because my mom was paying for half my sessions because she thought that it was very beneficial for me, so she took it very seriously. So I'm so grateful to that. But honestly, paying that money made me really take it seriously and made me feel like I had to put myself out there. So that was a big thing for me. Also, my psychologist, what I really liked, which you could even speak to your psychologist about if you don't already have this, is to ask for weekly tasks. My psychologist would every week say, now do this to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Now do that. Now try this thing. Now keep a gratitude journal. Now reflect on yourself. Now be on the moment. And every week I'd have a challenge. And then I would let her know. And I had to be honest, some weeks the challenge didn't go so well and I had to tell her the truth instead of just being like, oh yeah, everything went fine, it's all good, it's all good. I was like, you know what, this week I really struggled with their challenge. Can we redo it? Is there a way we can rethink it? Those kind of things. Like, one of my challenges at one point was to just not change my profile picture on Facebook because I was so compulsive with it due to my insecurity issues, and I was able to actually work through it, and at this point that negative cycle in my mind is gone. I don't have that compulsive behavior anymore because I learned to work on it. And when you reach that level of accomplishment, it's really hard to fall back into that old cycle because you've worked so hard to get to that point. So it was a really big thing for me. And so what therapy gave me is ways to rack up different coping mechanisms without the use of medication. And so I will link down below, I made a video on coping mechanisms without medication for both depression and social anxiety. If you guys haven't seen it, I will link it below so you can take a look. And honestly, the results of my therapy is that it honestly saved my relationship with my boyfriend because I was trying to work through my issues while I was with him. And honestly, like, the coping techniques that I learned helped me so much, and it helped me actually be able to keep my relationship and strengthen it instead of sabotaging it, because I was really a kind of person that would sabotage things in life that made me happy. Should do a video on that someday if you guys want. Thumbs up. Yeah, I would just sabotage like all the things that actually made me feel good in life. And so I learned not to do that, and I was able to return back to school after the therapy. I was able to keep a job where I wasn't missing days due to really like low depressive moods. Sometimes I was so depressed that I just got into such a negative depressive slump that it was impossible for me to be productive. But I know how to cope better with that now. So I'm really, really proud of myself for learning how to do that. And so these are just things that have worked for me. It was 1 whole year of therapy. I'm at the point where I don't think that I'm going to need to go back. Maybe later in life if something happens, but for now I think my coping mechanisms are very, very effective. So honestly, I wanted to be on here, guys, to give you some inspiration, some motivation, and to really like share my story with you so you know that therapy can help. I think there's still a big stigma with therapy, and there is not. I'm so proud to tell people I went to a psychologist and that it helped me and it strengthened me so much. So never be ashamed of admitting you need help and then going and seeking that help, because it might just turn your life around like it did for me. Alright, thanks for listening, guys, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.